Peace and love. It's good to be back here with you again. My name is Jewel, and this is the Compassionate Oracle. I'm looking forward to getting back on my channel. I recently moved, so I'm finally getting comfortable, and you guys know I work full time as a teacher as well. So hopefully this will be me getting back on track with my readings and spending more time with you all. I've missed you. So let's see what Spirit has in store for us, what messages Spirit has for us as we head into the new year. Let's see. So we'll do a tarot, we'll do a Sunday soul session reading with our tarot and our oracle cards featuring the what's the name of it? The Osho, Zen, and the Tao Oracle. So let's see. Spirit, thank you for another year, for your guidance, angels for your protection, for your love, ancestors for your wisdom, for your courage, for your strength. Continue to move us forward on a spiritual pathway. Continue to open up our hearts and our minds. Continue to keep us fully aware as we move into new terrain, as we open ourselves up to new experiences, as we continue to keep our hearts open, and allow joy to come easily into our lives. Thank you, angels. Spirit, what messages do you want us to understand as we head into the new year? Always focusing on ascension, always focusing on healing the spiritual body, the physical body, the mental body. What messages do you have for us? Thank you, angels. And I'm just healing from a little bit of a sinus infection, so I have my hot tea. I always have my hot tea, but I wanted to let you guys know just in case I have to get a sip. All right, Spirit, what message do you have for us? Thank you, angels. All right, so oppression. So hopefully we're on the other side of this, coming out of these type of circumstances, dealing with heavy and negative energies. I know if we're being honest right now in the world, no matter where you are, but for here in this United States, a lot of people are experiencing these type of energies. There's a lot of fear happening right now. People are afraid of what's to come. People are extremely worried. There's lots of sadness. People are shocked by things they're seeing, but also trying to see our way out of the darkness and heading into that light space. The light space resides within, once we understand that we can always locate it no matter what our circumstances might be. But it takes time to get to that space. We'll look more at that. So it says oppression, restriction, exhaustion, depression. And that one speaks to me a lot, being exhausted. Maybe we can leave that energy in 2025 as we head into the new year. We can take some things off of our shoulders, remove some of those big bricks from our backs. We talk about that a lot here, and move into a more lighter future. Depleted resources, feeling cut off, punishment, and confinement. So yeah, this energy is real. So excess, stress, overload, exhaustion, obsessiveness, gluttony, burdens, worries, the breaking point. Let's pull one more. Maybe we'll get a lighter energy. So influence, courtship, mutual attraction, genuine affection, natural magnetism, stimulation, and connection. So for some of us, coming into connections with people who embody that energy that we want to replicate in our lives, a lightness of being. But also some of us are involved in dense and heavy energetic partnerships in a negative fashion, where we're dealing with people who deplete our resources. Resources don't have to be financial, friends. Their resources are spiritual. So they're depleting our spiritual resources. This can be many ways. Relationships when it comes to romantic involvements, family relationships as well, job relationships, all those things. This is stuff that we constantly talk about on this channel. And so these are the energies that we are always moving through, especially as spiritual workers and warriors out there on the front lines. If you're watching my channel, if you've been here with me, if you can understand my verbiage, how I talk, if you understand the messages that I bring, the things that are important to my spiritual team to share with you all, then you are a spiritual warrior in whatever way that is fit for you. No matter what industry, what field you work in, it doesn't make a difference about that. That's not the important part. The important part is that you're working in a spiritual manner. And so when we're working in spiritual manners, we already have a lightness or a sensitivity to things around us. And the more you cultivate that, the more understanding you'll have of that spiritual space. But when you work in a spiritual capacity, the negative energies and entities, they do what they can to make sure that you stay in these spaces. That keeps the work from being done, right? It keeps the work from being done. It keeps the words from being spoken. It keeps the truth from being revealed, all those things. And not only the truth being revealed to other people, because sometimes it's not even about that. This energy here of the oppression and the excess, these are two lone cards. So sometimes the truth has to be revealed to the self first before it can be spread outward. And that's the healing, that's the abundance and the blessing of life, is to be able to acknowledge and walk in that truth. On the bottom, we have keeping still, meditation, self-renewal, and that's standing out to me. Composure. So even while going through difficult times like this with the oppression and the excess, we know where we want to be. We want to be on the other side of this energy, right? Get a sip of my tea. We know we want to be on the other side of this energy. So how do we do that? First step, this particular figure is here in this darkness, confronting things from the past here, confronting things that deal with the self, acknowledging, that's all we're talking about, acknowledging things that you don't want to see. When it comes to who you are and when it comes to the people that are around you. In this keeping still card, detachment, meditation, we have this darker energy around them, but we also have the light. This is a meditative stance, right? And so no matter what we're dealing with, what our obstacles might be, there's always that space to sit down wherever you are and to open up your heart for true information to come inside. If you don't know what you're looking for, you sit quietly and you ask your guide, Spirit, I don't know what I'm looking for right now. I'm going through a difficult time. I'm not quite sure of my path forward. I'm not quite sure of the things I need to understand about myself. I'm not quite sure of that shadow that I need to bring to the surface and heal from. Can you enlighten me on those things and allow that light to open up to give you the courage to receive that information? That's the beginnings of it all. That's the idea of keeping still. We're not still and not moving. We're still and waiting for information, but we've asked for it as well. Self-acceptance, accepting who you are without this baggage, removing these things off your back, other people's worries, other people's ideas about who you are, other people's visions for yourself and for your future, all those things, right? That's the excess. Wanting things that you don't need. We really don't need much. But sometimes wanting things puts you in a certain space where you're constantly going, 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 going. That's an oppressive state as well. You never have a chance to self-reflect about what you already have and who you already are without the excess, right? Because don't forget, we are powerful beings. We're spiritual beings. And so we come here to this planet fully equipped with what we have already in the spiritual heart space. All right? Our spirits are fully operational from the get-go. And so if we're able to utilize those spiritual gifts, what spirit has to or has in store for us or has there waiting for us, even in a dormant state, that's the true bounty or the abundance of life. That's what we're working for, what we should be working for. And sometimes when we're working for excess and we want more and more and more, we don't realize how heavy that is for us spiritually. It keeps us from being able to see the truth. It clouds the vision, right? Angels, what do you have to say to us about this excess? How do we move out of these oppressive states, these relationships? Like I said, I'm going to reiterate, keeping still. Underneath that, we had being receptive. And so now, not only are we keeping still, we're waiting for spirit to answer and talk with us. That's the receptive energy. Understanding that no, it's not going to hit you like this all the time. Sometimes we have to be still for a very long time. We have to go into moments of stillness. Sometimes spirit will keep us in moments of stillness where we're not dealing with lots of people. You know, maybe somebody feels isolated or alone out there. I spend a lot of my time alone. You know, if I'm not teaching, I try to spend time alone to communicate with spirit, and mainly to communicate with yourself, right? You have to be quiet sometimes to communicate with who you are, with your higher self, right? If you're talking all the time, if you're listening to people talking all the time, you're not really tuning into that information that's on the inside that you've already came here with, the blueprint that you've been programmed with, right? That's why when it comes to readers and reading, I read when spirit calls me to read. I'm not on here all the time. I'm not trying to knock anybody, but if we're constantly listening to other people and their ideas about who we are, we don't have a chance to access that on the inside. And that's the spiritual work that's required in order to be a true warrior out there on the battlefield, on the front lines, working for the energies of the Most High, right? And so when we're listening to readers constantly all the time, and this I'm just using this because I know people who on YouTube they listen to readers, sometimes it can tend to be an addiction. And it's not just listening to readers, it's listening to anybody talking in our ears all the time. We're not listening to ourselves enough. And so we have to be careful, right? Because no matter what industry or what you're dealing with, there are going to always be people who would like to manipulate and keep you locked in certain things, keep your emotions locked, keep you in fear, all right, where you have to rely on them. I don't want you all to rely on me when you come here. When I'm doing readings here, I'm doing them for you, but I'm doing them for me as well because I'm also a spiritual warrior working on the front lines, out here doing what I need to do for my spiritual team, my ancestors, glorifying the Most High with my work that I do. And so I don't sit here away from you all with these readings or above in such a high place. I'm right here at the table looking at this and saying, what do I need to take from this for myself? And that's the trueness of a reader, right? I don't want to keep you locked in any type of where you have to rely on what I have to say, because what you have to say is more important than me. I guarantee you that. You have to clear your mind. You have to be receptive to the Most High energy, receptive to your spirit guides, receptive to your angels, receptive to yourself. You have to acknowledge what's wrong first. Acknowledge what's wrong. Abundance, right? What is abundance? Let's start there. What is abundance? For me, abundance is walking in my truth, living fully aware, being fully aware of who I am, right? And what I do and what I have to offer. Not in a state of arrogance. We never want to be arrogant. That's when spirit removes the answers. That's when we become closed up. That's when we become boxed in. Arrogance is so much arrogance in the world. And you think there aren't tarot readers and people who are in the spiritual community who aren't arrogant? No. Arrogance is rampant. It runs rampant no matter what field and what type of work you do. That's the danger of it all. Always try to remain humble, right? And so it's a balance that comes with that. It's a balance that comes with that. But understanding what true abundance means, let's start with who are you? You are the abundance, right? First and foremost, because you come here with a purpose, with a reason to be on this planet. Maybe you don't know it exactly yet, but you do know it though, because in everything that we do, the essence of who we are is embedded in that. How we speak, how we walk, how we carry ourselves, how we interact with others, how we smile, if you don't smile. All these things are characters that are embedded in the spiritual blueprint, or that energy embedded in the spiritual blueprint. So if you don't know the exact work, you know the mannerisms of who you are. You know what matters to who you are in your spirit. You know when you feel alive, and you know when you feel depleted, right? That might be the case. Do you know when you feel alive, and do you know when you feel depleted? Are you willing to be truthful about when you feel alive and when you feel depleted? Are you honest with yourself about what depletes you? Are you honest with yourself about what weighs you down? And I think that, spiritual work and that abundance has to first start with that honesty that comes with acknowledging that self part. Who are you? And what brings that lightness of being into your life? How are you able to access this light and turn it on? Because even a true spiritual warrior with the darkness around them can turn this light on no matter what, right? But if you can't access the light at all, you have to kind of look at where you are and what abundance means to you. Start small with abundance. We talk about it a lot on this channel, the fallacy that comes along with abundance, the idea that it's just having more and having more. That's the excess here with this card, the gluttony of life, the physical trappings of it all. Getting away from that and understanding that abundance is something that the world has presented to you as being extremely small, something that can fit into a very tiny gift box, but it actually is the full universe. It's the biggest thing that is. It's the sky, it's the moon, it's the sun, It's these larger energies that we can't even understand. We give thanks for them, for the life that comes with the sun, right? But we're here, and it could take us many years to analyze that energy. We still won't truly understand the spiritual aspects of it, right? Maybe the scientific aspects. But the abundance of the truth that comes with who you are, just that little nugget, that's something that's extremely small, is it's the only thing that really matters. Because when you ascend, it's the part that allows you to move up. When you have this energy, the ascension process is impossible, right? Go down, Spirit, when it comes to this excess, this oppressive energy. And don't be fooled by the world, right? Don't be fooled by what you see in the news. I'm not saying don't be aware. Please be aware of what's happening around us. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about on a spiritual level. Don't allow the manipulations of the world to cloud your judgment and to make you into something that you're not. When we operate on fear, when we fully operate on fear, there are people out there who are fully operating on fear. They're afraid of themselves. You can be arrogant and still be afraid of yourself. Okay? And they're putting other people in those spaces for many different reasons. The main reason is control. Having control over others. There are people in this world who want to have control over others and have no desire to have control over themselves. Have no desire. And here's the scarier part. It's not about them not having a desire. They don't. But it's the fact that they don't know how to control themselves. They wouldn't even know how to. They don't even know what control means, right? We want to make sure that we're not in line with those people. We have to stand on the outside and looking in, or we have to stand on the opposite side of those people, right? If we stand on the same side as them, you want to know how the enemy, if we want to talk about in terms of enemy, we want to know how the enemy acts, right? But we can't stay over there too long, right? Because then it's too easy to become them. So you have to either be an outsider, you have to go and infiltrate. You got to be careful with that. But there are people who are able to do that and come back into the self. That's the key. I hope you all understand what I'm talking about. I think it takes... You have to be here with me, spiritually. And I'm thankful for those who are here, I don't think it's a lot of us. And so, but we're here, we're doing our thing. So the dream, right? And so that abundance, already kind of figuring out, what do you want for yourself? How do you want to wake up in the morning? How do you want to live your life? How do you want to feel? Let's just start there. How do you want to feel? Do you want to feel free? This isn't freedom, I'm going to tell you that. Do you want to feel free? And I think that's that abundance piece that we talk about, that freedom, that truth, that honesty. We are the world. Being a part of the world, operating within the world, working to heal others in the world, working to understand the world, all right, all those things, but being able to pull your energy back from the world, understanding the dangers of it, understanding the prison mechanisms that come into place with the world and the trappings of it. Having the courage to break through it, right? Removing these bricks, these boulders, it's not easy. And so it's like the idea, just take them off your back. Just remove them off your back. It's like the idea of the Eight of Swords in the tarot. You know, lots of readers, they're just there. You just have to walk through them. They're just there. They're just in your mind. The Swords deals with the mind, you know, but sometimes it's things happening in the past. You have to go back into the past and deal with some of those hidden elements here with the shadow self that has to be acknowledged in order to grow. Right? And that's the Eight of Swords energy as well, acknowledging the shadow self. I wouldn't tell somebody, oh, just quickly move on through that energy, because that's not life. If somebody has put these boulders on their back for years and years and years, if somebody came here with these boulders based on ancestral energy and challenges, right? If you're an ancestral worker and you're working through this, who am I to say, just take the stuff off your back and move forward? It doesn't work like that. All the things that we have to do in life when it comes to ascension is a spiritual nature. It's spiritual work that has to be done. Oracle reading, tarot reading, this is spiritual work. There's no one and done. It's no magic answer. It's work that has to be done. And I think people get afraid, or they get discouraged, or they either get discouraged or they get too caught up on the cards. The cards don't tell you who you are. They can tell you who you are in a way, but you have to know who you are. The cards don't give you the magic answer. You have to give yourself the answer, right? The cards give us guidance. They give us the energy that we're working with at the time. But the work is still required for you. For you. Removing these bricks, removing these boulders, it takes courage. It takes time. It takes faith. It takes love. It takes belief. It takes honesty. All those things. This flower is the idea of maybe when it broke through, it wouldn't have survived, maybe. But the idea that the sun is there, inherently it knows, right? A seed wants to be planted, it wants to grow, it wants to thrive, it wants to bud, it wants to, all those things. It wants to flower, it wants to live, right? And so if we take ourselves back to the essence, if we think about abundance, and we think about who we are, that dream that we have for ourselves, looking at these energies that we have out on the table, and we take it back to just something as simple as, what will it take my seed to grow to its fullest? What is that magic component that will allow me to have my light shine no matter what's happening in and outside, right? Because don't forget, we're out here working in the world. We're in the world. The energies are heavy in the world, right? But we also have to go out there and participate in it. So how can we have our light shining? How can we operate in our fullness when we're dealing with the energies of the world? We're looking for that feeling, that particular courage that will allow us to say, I'm going to plant my seed, and then I'm going to allow spirit to let me grow. Let's get a couple more, and then we'll pull a liminal spirits oracle. Experiencing fighting. So making sure we're removing the armor. So let's do that first. Because some of us have the armor on and then we have the boulders on top of it. So let's take off some of the armor. You know, what can we remove? What can we start to remove? So let's take off some of the armor, and then we can start to assess those things around us that are weighing us down energetically. It takes courage to take off armor. We want to experience life, right? We want to be able to feel the energy of the tree, feel the energy of the sun, feel the energy of those who love us, feel the energy of us loving ourselves. But we only can feel that when we are, when we have some of that armor removed. It's a state of vulnerability that you have to be in order to experience spirit at its fullness, to experience yourself at your fullness, right? We have to be vulnerable. You can't be vulnerable and have armor on. You can't be vulnerable and have all this on. You're angry. You're angry with this. You don't, sometimes it's these boulders, like I said, if it's spiritual work that has to be done, sometimes you can't pinpoint the boulder. It's, you have to practice stillness. It's not going to say ding 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 ding. This is it. This is the boulder. You remove this one next. Remove this one next. This is this. This is this. This is your finances. This is your love life. This is whatever. I mean, for some of you all, you know. Let's be real. Let's be real. Let's be truthful. But if you're dealing with heaviness of spirit, spiritual boulders, you have to go within and you have to talk with your guides. You have to have faith and trust in your spiritual team. All right, let's look at the Liminal Spirits Oracle. And let's see. Actually, no. I might still do this, but let me get one of my other cards. I've had this deck for many, many years. It's one of my favorites. I don't use it enough on this channel. It's called Divination of the Ancients. And let's see what Spirit would say for us as we move into the new year. What needs to be on the forefront, or the forefront of our minds when it comes to our spiritual work. Let's look at that first. We already know we need to go within. We need to meditate. What gift are we cultivating, angels? What gift? To bring about a lightness of being, to allow us to shine that light, that heart light, no matter what the situations might be, no matter what the world throws at us, we're able to come back to that light. What allows us to come back to that light? I'm going to take this one because it was out. And then dreams, and then the fortune cookie. Fortune favors the bold, that idea. We have to be bold in life, right? Sometimes being bold is removing the armor. Sometimes being bold is accessing or looking at our surroundings and saying, wait a minute, something's not right. I need to make a change. It's cowardice, and it's easy to stay in situations that are harmful. And I'm not trying to make light of people going through abuse. It's not about that. It's not about that. Maybe in that case, I won't say cowardice, but it's harmful. It's detrimental to your spirit. It's cowardice when you're dealing with arrogance of the self. That's different. Because people have these boulders on and they're arrogant. They think they know it all. That's the boulders here, piling on. But it's detrimental to the spiritual body. Fortune favors the bold. People are able to look at the truth of their life circumstances to see where they need to make those changes, right? There are beautiful things there waiting for you, like that flower that we saw that was able to burst through that cement and find that sunlight, right? It knew inherently, it knew it was there. Spiritually, intuitively, it was there. And so for us, we have to also know spiritually, faithfully, intuitively that beautiful things are waiting for us, right? Paying attention to our dream states, some of us need to rest. We need to sleep more. And this is something that I've noticed too. I'm a full-time teacher. I don't take time off from work. And then I'm on my Christmas break, my holiday break, and I've been sick the first full week, right? Because I don't take that time within the school year to maybe say, I'm not feeling well. Let me see if I can get a sub. Because no, I have to make sure I'm there for the kids. No, we have to make sure SOLs. No, we have to make sure I have so much to take care of. I have to make sure I stay on. All these things, right? And so it becomes a situation where we guilt ourselves into not resting. It's an arrogance when we feel like we don't have to rest. And then it's detrimental and harmful when we say, you know, I can't really explain what I'm saying, but it goes both ways. It's an arrogance with it too. And then it's a cowardice with it as well. Like, I don't know. If you know if you know me, if you know, you know. You know what I'm talking about, right? And so we have to rest the body. We saw that stillness card. This person is in a state of rest. They might be in a state of turmoil too, but they have to rest because sometimes spirit will sit you on your ass, right? Sit you right on your ass and say, wait a minute, you're not going to go any further until you address these issues. We don't want to have to get to this point because that's when it really gets rough. That's when they talk about the dark night of the soul. We all have gone there. We've been there. Where things are just, when you are in a dark room and you're trying to figure your way up out of it. Like let's try to figure it out before we get there. But resting the body, first and foremost, allowing ourselves to dream again. Not just dream in a sleep state, but dreaming. Faith that beautiful things can happen. Faith that the sun is out there waiting to shine for us, right? Now let's pull a liminal spirit. This is by Lord Tempest Zakharoff. And let me see. Divination of the Ancients, one of my favorite oracle cards. Barbara Micklejohn Free and Flavia Kate Peters. In case you're interested, I always like to show the decks just in case you might be interested in adding them into your spiritual practice. These ones are nice because it just has different divination styles. And so it's a great way to kind of understand what your gifts are. So your gifts are being able to access information in a dream state, but you have to rest your body to do it. And your other gift is also having the faith and the belief that beautiful things can happen. That's a gift as well. That's the Fool card in the tarot. The Fool card is not a light card, It's not a silly card. It's a powerful card. The energy of the Fool is extremely powerful. Nobody with those bricks is the Fool energy. Nobody in those oppressive states dealing with people they shouldn't deal with. They're not embodying the Fool energy. It takes courage to embody that energy. It's extremely powerful. Can it be somebody being a fool? Yes. It could be that as well. But if we're looking at it spiritually, that Fool energy or that fortune cooking energy we just pulled out is powerful. A lot of people don't have faith. They say they do, but they don't. It takes courage to have faith. All right, so snake. Transformation, right? Coming out of this egg anew. Removing those things from your surroundings. Removing that armor and allowing yourself to emerge out the snake. Shedding the skin, the old skin. Any of those things that come along with the snake. Being able to be calm in difficult situations. People fear this energy of the snake. People fear snakes, right? Maybe who you are is somebody that people might fear. But even still, and I mean that in a powerful way, not in fearing where you're out here manipulating and controlling people, controlling their every thoughts and controlling their moves. I'm not talking about that. Maybe you speak in a way that's not for everyone. Maybe you act in a way that's not for everyone. That doesn't mean that you're not doing your spiritual purpose. We all are warriors in different ways. Do you think the spiritual warrior is sweet like molasses? Maybe like molasses, but definitely not sweet like sugar or honey. Molasses maybe because it has a bitter aftertaste, and it's not for everybody. It's very strong in taste. You see what I'm saying? But being free enough to transform, believing in freedom. This is the idea of truth. This also makes me think about, who are we dealing with? Are we dealing with snakes in real life? Snakes at work, snakes at home, snakes in the bedroom. Oh my God. I know they're not in your bed. They better not be, right? We dealing with snakes in our bed, come on, in our home lives, that's when it gets really rough. You know, it's, you all understand what I'm saying. But dealing with snakes, no matter what fashion, it's difficult. Dear. This is an interesting card to me because it's the innocence that comes along with this deer. But I would say be careful of this, right? Be careful of this person with this innocent energy and these intentions that seem like they're nothing, Oh, I just have your best interest at heart. But in truly, they want to keep you wrapped up like this snake, keep you coiled up. Because once snakes kind of get you coiled up, they get you, they hold. That's how they're able to attack. Hold you within their grasp. Suffocate. That type of stuff. Dealing with suffocating energies that look kind-hearted. Maybe this is a kind-hearted deer, but you have to be able to access the higher self to know who you're dealing with in life. You should be able to know who you're dealing with. You should be able to look at that deer and say, are they kind-hearted or do they mean me harm? There are two different energies with this particular one card here. Also for you, don't be a deer in the headlights. When it comes to your life, you have to actively participate in it. You have to listen to the higher knowledge, the higher self. You have to give yourself a chance to perform. Give yourself a chance to succeed. Give yourself a chance to know who you are. All those things. This also makes me think about the balance of the spiritual life, the sensitivity, because this deer is also extremely sensitive, very aware. When I see deer, it always gives me that, when I see them in real life, if I go for a walk along the river and I see a deer, it makes me think of being vulnerable, of course, but being gentle with the self. There's a gentleness that has to come in order to transform the spiritual body. Also, we can combat difficulties of the snake by being gentle in nature. Not so that we're being manipulated by others, but sometimes this is the best. Vengeance is not the word. What's the word I'm looking for? Ammunition, maybe? It's the truthfulness that comes with being aware. That gentleness that comes with being aware, not bothered. People get angry by that energy. I hope I've made some sense today. I thank you for being here with me. What else we have? Continue to have faith, right? This is also a beautiful deck, in case you're interested. All right, well, until next time, sending you lots of love, peace and love, and we'll meet here again, and we'll have plenty of things to say, right? All right, take care.